What kind of person chooses danger over silence? Who would risk being torn apart just to keep their routine with God? That's not normal. That's not safe. But that's Daniel. And today on Story of Grace, we're diving straight into one of the boldest, most faith-filled moments in history. This isn't just a Sunday school memory. This is a real man in real trouble, holding tight to real faith. Stick with us, because what God did for Daniel is going to fire up something inside you. If you love stories that show God's strength and faithfulness, don't just watch. Subscribe to Story of Grace and be part of this amazing journey. Daniel stood strong. There are people who follow rules because it's easy, and then there are people who follow God, even when the rules stand directly in the way. Daniel was the second kind. He wasn't loud about it. He didn't put on a show, but he lived with a quiet strength that refused to bend, even under pressure. While everyone else was trying to blend in and stay safe, Daniel stood out. Not because he wanted attention, but because he simply wouldn't compromise his relationship with God. Daniel had earned respect. In Babylon, he had climbed the ranks and gained influence. He wasn't just a foreigner in a strange land. He was a leader, a man the king himself trusted. But what truly set him apart wasn't his intelligence or charm. It was his faith. Every day, without fail, he prayed to God 3 times. And he didn't hide it. He knelt by his window where anyone could see. He wasn't making a statement, he was just being faithful. And people noticed, especially the ones who didn't like him. Not because he was dishonest or unqualified, but because he was too consistent, too clean, too committed. They searched for something to use against him and found nothing, except his faith. So they did what bitter hearts often do. They twisted something good into a weapon. They set their sights on Daniel's greatest strength, his unwavering devotion to God. A trap is set. What happens when your strengths are twisted into weaknesses by jealous people? What if the thing you do right becomes the weapon others use against you? That's exactly what happened here. These officials knew they couldn't beat Daniel fairly, so they played dirty. They went to the king with flattery and fake loyalty. "Let's make a law," they said. "Make everyone worship you for a month. No prayers to any god or man except you." And just like that, a trap was set. Darius liked Daniel, but he didn't realize what was going on. He signed the law without a second thought. And Daniel? He heard about it. He knew what was at stake, but nothing changed. Same window, same prayers, same faith. No performance, no panic, just trust. And of course, the officials were watching, waiting, eager to catch him doing what they knew he wouldn't stop doing. And when they saw him praying, they raced to the king. The king's struggle. Sometimes people in power realize the truth too late, and that was the case for King Darius. When he saw what had happened, it hit him hard. He wasn't angry at Daniel, he was furious with himself. He had been manipulated by flattery and pride, tricked into signing a law designed to destroy the one man he respected most. The moment Daniel's fate was sealed, Darius went into overdrive. He searched for a way out. All day long, he looked for a loophole in the law, any legal technicality, any exception, any way to undo what had been done. But the law of the Medes and Persians couldn't be reversed. Not even the king could change it. As the sun set, his time ran out. Heart heavy, he gave the command. Daniel was brought forward, and the den of lions loomed near. You can imagine the dread, the heartbreak. And yet, in that crushing moment, the king's voice cracked with something genuine: hope. "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you," he said. It wasn't just a wish. It was a cry. Then came the silence. The stone was rolled in place, the royal seal pressed into the wax. And just like that, Daniel was inside, sealed in with lions and no way out. A night of waiting. What goes through your mind when you're alone in a place where no one expects you to survive? What do you do when everything around you looks like it's over? The den was dark, cold, alive with growls and heavy breathing, lions pacing, hungry. And Daniel, still, calm. Not because he wasn't afraid, but because he wasn't alone. God sent an angel, not a flash of lightning, not a burst of noise, just quiet power. The lions' mouths were shut, their strength held back by something greater. Meanwhile, back in the palace, the king didn't eat, didn't sleep. He couldn't focus. He just waited, pacing, hoping, wondering if the God Daniel served so faithfully would actually show up. Morning comes. When dawn finally broke, the king ran. Not walked. He ran to the den. He called out, his voice shaky. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to rescue you from the lions?" And then, against all expectations, came the voice. "My God sent his angel. He shut the mouths of the lions. They didn't hurt me. I was found innocent." The relief must have been massive. Daniel was pulled out, and not a scratch on him. Nothing. Perfectly whole. The power in that moment wasn't just that Daniel survived. It was that he never stopped trusting. He never even tried to escape. He just kept being who he was. Justice is served. What happens when lies fall apart? When the truth stands tall and those who scheme are exposed? That's what happened next. The king saw everything clearly now. The plot, the deception, the jealousy. And he wasn't going to let it go. The same men who had planned Daniel's downfall were brought to justice. They faced the lions they thought Daniel would never escape. The difference? This time, the lions didn't stay silent. The protection Daniel had? It wasn't there for them. God had made a statement, loud and clear, a new decree. When someone witnesses a miracle, it changes things. And for King Darius, everything shifted. He wrote a new law, not one based on flattery or lies, but on truth. He told everyone in his kingdom to honor the God of Daniel, not because of politics, but because he had seen real power, real protection, real presence. He declared that God lives forever, that his kingdom will never end, that he rescues, that he saves, that he does wonders. The God of Daniel wasn't just another name on a list of deities. He was different, alive, active, real. What this means for us. Some people think faith is just for old stories. But what if it's for right now? What if the same courage Daniel had is available to you? This story tells us something big. Faith isn't just about what we believe. It's about what we do every day. Daniel prayed because that was who he was. He didn't need a crisis to connect with God. He already had that connection. And that's why he could stay strong. When trouble came, he didn't scramble. He didn't plan. He just stayed consistent. That's real strength. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being faithful. Daniel wasn't flashy. He didn't demand attention. But his quiet choices made the biggest impact. Your story isn't over. You might feel like you're in a pit right now. Maybe you're facing something scary. Maybe people are trying to tear you down. Maybe the pressure feels unbearable. But hear this. God hasn't forgotten you. The same way he shut the mouths of lions, he can shut down the things trying to destroy you. He can bring peace in the middle of chaos. He can lift you out when everyone else thinks it's over. Don't stop praying. Don't stop being kind. Don't stop trusting. Keep going, because your story is still being written. Thanks for spending time with us today. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear that God still protects, still answers, and still moves. And don't forget to subscribe to Story of Grace. Be part of something bigger. New stories, new hope, every single week, right here. See you in the next one.